Hello YouTube, Kaitlyn here, and today is Veda Day 12, and today we're going to talk about back to school tips for your academic excellence. So considering that it's August, I pretty much get asked every single day if I can make a video on back to school tips. And we're gonna do it now, yay! I'm actually giving you two videos. Today is gonna be about the academic side of going back to school, and tomorrow will be about the social side of going back to school. So let's jump into it. Tip number one is, did you know there are different types of learners? There's auditory, where when you hear something, you learn it better. There are visual learners, which is when you see something, you retain it better. And there are kinesthetic learners, which is when you do something, you learn it better. So let's think of some examples. I'm primarily a visual learner, so I need to write down pretty much everything the teacher says and anything that's on the board. Just as long as I can see it in my notes and kind of go over it many times. I make study guides for myself because then I'm kind of going over it again and again. Anything that has to do with where I can see it. I'm also a kinesthetic learner, which plays into my visual learning because I like to write things down. And so by the act of writing, I tend to remember things better, words and terms that I need to remember. But kinesthetic isn't just writing, it's also doing and, like acting things out, or, that tend to play into like sports and dance really well. Things that you do with your body. It might even be coming up with dance moves or hand gestures that go along with history dates that you need to remember in your history class. So you might look kind of weird sitting there taking a test doing like strange things, but if it helps you remember what you need to remember on your test, then that's all you need to do. And I feel like auditory is relatively self-explanatory. I was always so jealous of people who could just go to class and listen, not even take notes, but just retain everything that they heard and be able to do really well on tests. I'm not really like that at all. I can remember some things that I hear, but most of the time, whatever I hear has to go through my hand and onto a piece of paper that I can then look at later. The reason I'm telling you all this is so that you think about what type of learner you are and then play to your strengths. Tip number two is help on how to pay better attention in class. The key there is to stay away from distractions, which means if you're allowed to bring your cell phone to school, leave it in your locker. Like, I couldn't bring my cell phone to school, so it wasn't a problem for me. But if you can, don't bring it. Don't be like, oh, I'm just gonna send this one little text message in the middle of class. Like, no, don't do it. Leave it in your locker. Another good thing to do is actually to sit away from your friends so that when your teacher is lecturing, you can pay attention. So before class starts, you can go over wherever your friends are and talk to them. But as soon as class is going to start, just have a desk that's like on the opposite end of the room or like the front or the back, wherever, so that you're not directly in the line of sight where you can, like start like passing mental notes to one another or like wanting to text or anything like that. And also, if you have trouble of just getting involved in the lecture and you find your mind wandering, try just writing down everything the teacher is saying. It becomes a challenge for you to try and get all the information down on paper, and so you're not letting your mind go off and think about the latest episode of Pretty Little Liars. Tip number three, which isn't really a tip, but more of just a general statement of truth, and that is, it's okay to be smart. Middle and high school can be really tough because there's this big push for popularity and having a social life, and sometimes you can be afraid that you're going to ruin your reputation if you're known as a smart kid in a certain subject or just all around. So a lot of times people, and especially girls unfortunately, will dumb themselves down in order to kind of fit in with everyone else. Don't do it. If you are good in a subject or enjoy a certain part of academics, then absolutely embrace that. Don't let other people convince you that that's not cool, because being smart is cool. Tip number four is the opposite side of that. Don't let people tell you that you are dumb. If you're not good in a subject, that's okay too, because everyone has their own learning speed. You just need extra help figuring out how best you learn that particular type of thing. Which leads us to tip five, which is don't be afraid to ask for help from teachers or other students. Your teachers are there to help you. Most likely. It's true, sometimes there are total lackadaisical teachers who don't care, but there are a large amount of teachers who are there because they absolutely love teaching and they want to help you. So ask your teacher for help. And if you feel like you have a teacher that doesn't care, or maybe you're just scared of, then go ask a teacher in the same subject somewhere else that maybe isn't your teacher but still knows what they're talking about, and they'll help you too. Other students are also a good resource because they might be able to show you how they learn a certain thing that maybe you find difficult, which might be different than the way the teacher is thinking and can fit better with the way you're thinking. Also, understand that the administration is there to help. They're not just there to punish you if you do something bad. I was never a bad kid or needed to be punished, but I was still afraid of the administration, and only when I got kind of to be like a junior or senior in high school, when the administration kind of knew who I was because I was so good in school, and I'm like, why are these people talking to me? What did I do wrong? But I hadn't done anything wrong. They're just nice people and they're interested in me as a person. So try to make relationships with your administrator, whether it's your principal or vice principal or guidance counselor. They're really good resources beyond your teachers for just life advice. Tip number 6 is start your papers and projects early because it will give you time to enjoy it and have creative freedom. I feel like there's not that much explanation needed there. When you get an assignment, then go ahead and start thinking about it. Don't wait until it's due in 2 days and then do it. The amount of stress you can reduce in your life by doing that is incredible. And finally, step 7, remember that grades do matter. I feel like in high school they do a better job of making sure that you know that grades do matter because it goes in your transcript, and then we'll go to colleges if you want to go to college. But in middle school, I feel like it's this gray area and you're like, well, does this matter? So for all you guys in middle school, I just want you to remember that grades do matter. They help set you up for what kind of and how advanced of classes you're going to be taking in high school, which then will determine how well you'll be able to get into college. The key is not to just start thinking about what you're going to do in your future when you're a junior in high school, but to actually start planning for it when you're in middle school by doing well in school and making good grades, because it'll set you up well for high school and later college. Don't worry if you are a junior in college and you're like, oh gosh, I've totally ruined my life. I haven't done well in school up until now. Because you can totally start working now on your grades and maybe get into a community college after school and really work on your grades there and show that you want to go to a 4-year university and then be able to transfer there. So there you go. There's iIMAGINEblank's back to school tips. Yo! Wow, that got really silly really fast. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about the social aspects of going back to school, so make sure you tune in then. But until then, tell me down in the comments some of your own academic back to school tips. And remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if this video made you smile. See you guys tomorrow. I could not talk this morning. Everything is just coming out in a jumble. Blah, 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 blah. Ugh. Which leads us